Welcome to Manifested Publishers.
Hello learners, welcome to our today's lesson. Remember, the program is still Manifested Online Lessons. We are still learning Chemistry Form 1 and our topic is simple classification of substances. The subtopic is separation of insoluble solid liquid mixtures. If you remember, in the previous lesson, we discussed the first method which you can use to separate a solid liquid mixture, which was sand and water. And the method was decantation. We said that if you get sand or if you have a beaker of water, in that beaker of water, you put in sand and you stir. That sand is not going to dissolve in water because sand is insoluble in water. Again, we say that if you allow it to, or if you allow the mixture to stand for around 5 minutes, then sand settles at the bottom of the beaker. Then the decantation method is now when you take another empty beaker, you pour the water carefully into an empty beaker, then you'll be left with sand at the bottom. This method, we said, is not very effective because some solid particles, they still pass through in the process of decanting. And that's why we say that decantation is not a very effective method of separation of insoluble solid liquid mixtures. In this lesson, our objective is to discuss, or by the end of this lesson, should be able to explain and conduct a filtration process. Therefore, we discuss filtration method of separation. And to discuss filtration still, the mixture is still sand and water. Sand and water is still the mixture. But this is the mixture. We have the beaker. And that is the sand. So when you put sand in water, then sand does not dissolve in water. And therefore it settles at the bottom. And therefore, this is how we are going to carry out filtration method. In filtration, we need the following requirements. We need a filter paper, filter funnel, a beaker. If not a beaker, then a conical flask. And now you already have the mixture. So these are the requirements or how you go about it. Therefore, the first thing to do is to fold the filter funnel, not the filter funnel, but the filter paper, as shown below. This is how you fold the filter paper. The filter paper is round in shape. That is the shape of the filter paper. Therefore, in the step number 1, you are supposed to fold it like this. Supposed to obtain that. That is step 1. Then step 2. That is step 2. That is what you obtain in step 2. And in step 3, you'll now have something like this. That is the step 3. Therefore, the filter paper is round in shape. Then you fold it in step 1 into 2 equal halves. You fold it into 2 equal halves. Then you'll now get a semicircle kind of L shape. Then in the second step, then you fold it again into this half, you fold it once again. Then you're now going to obtain something like this. Then in the step number 3, they now open up that quarter circle kind of or cone-shaped structure into something like this, or the structure like this. But this is now the one you fit in a filter funnel. And therefore, what you're now going to obtain will be like this. Here we have the filter funnel. It's the filter paper. And this is the filter funnel. So we have the filter paper and the filter funnel. Then this is a conical flask. The conical flask. We have said that you can use the conical flask or you can use a beaker instead. Therefore, this structure is now what you are fitting in. You are fitting inside here, the conical the filter funnel. Remember again in Form 1, you said that the filter funnel, the function is delivering liquid substances into vessels. So the filter funnel is now supposed to deliver the liquid substances into other vessels. Then that is now the setup which is now going to help you to carry out the filtration process. Remember, we already have our mixture here. Therefore, what is going to happen, we're now going to pour after allowing it to stand for a while. Then you just need to pour it here, this position. Therefore, this is a mixture of sand and water. When you pour a mixture of sand and water, or when you put the mixture of sand and water at this position, then water will pass through the filter funnel while sand will not. And therefore, sand will be collected at this point. Sand will be collected at that position. Then water will get in and be collected as the filtrate at that position. Therefore, this is water. This water is the filtrate. The filtrate is what passes through the filter paper. So in our case, water is a filtrate, and this is sand. In this case, sand is the residue. What has been left on the filter paper. This method is very effective because all the sand particles are collected at this point. Therefore, there is no sand particle which passes through the filter paper and be collected here. And that's why filtration is very effective in separation of solid, liquid mixtures. And in that case, insoluble solid liquid mixtures, because all the solid is now left at the filter paper while the liquid passes through. Therefore, this water which is collected in this case, the water is very clear because it does not have solid particles in it. And that is why filtration is more effective compared to decantation method of separation. Therefore, I hope you get or you understand filtration method very well. Just to do, maybe to repeat a little bit on what I've said in this lesson. In this lesson, we were learning filtration method of separation. And our mixture is sand and water, which is an insoluble solid liquid mixture. When you put sand in water, I said that sand does not dissolve in water. Sand does not dissolve in water. Therefore, you put sand, then you stir, sand will not dissolve. And therefore, if you allow it to set for some minutes, around 5 minutes, then now sand will settle at the bottom. Sand will settle at the bottom. Then again, we have the requirements for a simple experiment. Required a filter paper, required a filter funnel, required a conical flask or a beaker. But in our case, we have used a conical flask. The first step is to fold the filter paper as shown below. I've told you again, the filter paper is round in shape. This filter paper, which is round in shape, you fold it into 2 equal halves. Again, they must be equal. Then you now get the shape of a semicircle. It's something like this. It's not circular, it's semicircular. Then that semicircular shape, then you fold it once again to get now this kind of a structure. Now the step number 3, just open up that structure. You now get this structure, and then you fit it into a filter funnel. This is the filter funnel, which is on a conical flask. Then from there, we now pour the mixture at that position. And we have seen that when you pour that mixture, water is allowed to pass through, but sand is not allowed to pass through. It collects, this filter paper collects even the small particles of sand. The fine particles, all of them are collected at this point. And therefore, we have said that whatever is not, or whatever does not pass through the filter paper is a residue. And in this case, the residue is sand. And second, the liquid which passes through is called the filtrate. And in our case, the filtrate is water. Water is the filtrate. And that is the filtration method of separation. I hope you get the difference between filtration and decantation methods of separation at this time. Therefore, that becomes the end of our lesson today. But I will leave you with this assignment. And the assignment is state the advantage of filtration over decantation. State the advantage of filtration over decantation. I hope I have given you the answer already. And I said that in filtration, that the water collected or the liquid collected after is very clear. It does not contain any solid particle. While in decantation, then the liquid which was collected was having suspended solid particles. And therefore, that's why we said it is not effective. Therefore, ensure that you've answered the question before we meet in our next lesson, which we will be discussing now the second category of solid liquid mixture, which is soluble solid liquid mixtures. See you in that lesson.